live. Hi, everybody. This is going to be one hell of a show. We've got two of top psychic mediums here. We've got both Sara and we've got Jess, and we are discussing the D4VD. So David, specifically Burke, and we're saying that it's called Spirit Speaks Secrets. So we're going to reveal some of the secrets that we've picked up energetically about the singer D4VD, and we're going to talk about some of the other bits and bobs that we've seen that are coming in left field, so that we've got it on record. You've got it here, and you would have heard it first here. So let me give you a bit of a rundown for those that don't know all of the background, because we've been very close to this case since before it even started. We started broadcasting about David last year, and we had all predicted that he was going to be arrested. So let's go through the charges. I've got them. I'm going to refer to my notes. And also, what's interesting, no bail was given. So he's got no bail. No bail. Sound familiar, guys? Yes. Let's get to it. He was he was given a charge of first-degree murder. He was also given another charge, which was that he had lewd sex acts with a minor aged 14 and below. Also, he was charged with mutilating the remains of a human person. Also, he was charged, and I found this one just super interesting, that there was taking out a witness to an investigation, which is a significant unlawful act, because she was Celeste, the victim, even though she was only 14, she was a key witness in this case. So that in itself tells me that there must have been some toing and froing and information going backwards and forwards to the police, as well as different DAs and people that are involved with this case, because he's been charged with that. And the charge was unaliving a witness to an investigation. So those are the key ones. So I think that Celeste was ready to deliver justice, and she was ready to go forward and make their relationship known. And I think that unfortunately that was what got her in a bit of a pickle. So we'll go around the room and we'll discuss what it is we're picking up. Also, I did choose originally last week when he got arrested. I did choose 4 cards. So I've got 4 cards. So each of my psychic colleagues will also choose 4 cards for D4VD David Burke. And then we will look at everything that we're picking up. Now, bear in mind, viewers, and all of those in the chat, these 2 wonderful, talented ladies are both extremely accurate and strong mediums. So we're really hoping that during the session now today, we're hoping that Spirit will give us some information, and that Jess can pick up something, and that Sara can also pick up something that has come from the victim herself. Her name is Celeste. And our thoughts go out to the parents. Our thoughts go out to everyone that's known Celeste. We are with you fully. We support you fully. And we definitely want to see justice for Celeste, because what happened to her is absolutely awful. It's a tragedy. We don't want to see this happening again. So I will go to Jess. Jess, what have you picked up anything yet? Doesn't matter if you haven't yet. We'll go through the case. If you've got anything, let's share with everybody. And if you've got any very specific questions, those of you that are in the chat, plop it in the chat, and we're going to have a look and see which ones we can answer. So over to you, Jess.
Okay, so the first random thing I got was I was smelling cinnamon rolls. So I don't know if anybody has, like sticky buns or something like that, is significant in relation to Celeste and David. So I don't know if there's some evidence of their whereabouts, maybe going to get like some pastries or cinnamon rolls or something. I am feeling like it's in the morning, but my guys just said a week before I guess she was found. But the biggest thing I'm getting is that Celeste was like a chess piece
Oh,
And as Zara and I were talking, I was like, I was gonna like do homework, but I came in blind, and I feel like sometimes that's the best way to go.
yeah, it's
So
good.
you just like blindly trust yourself. I don't think there was any attraction. I think he's attracted to his friend I think he had a secret love affair, or there was some triangulation there.
Yeah.
With his friend that was roped into the mix. I think you did an auric reading on him,
Neo.
his ancestors. What was his name?
Neo.
Correct. Yes. I think they were in a secret relationship. And in the industry, what I've learned with my own experience is everything is decoded by what they put on the mainstream headlines, like TMZ. And what I noticed is when I decoded it back then, when you did the first live, I noticed on TMZ, his shirt said something about being gay. Nothing wrong with that, right? But so you have to always look at the symbolism, and the one eye that was missing tells me everything I need to know about what happened to her and who was responsible. Yes. That's what I've got so far. And his poor mother is the biggest thing I'm getting is his mother is that obviously his soul has been bound somewhere throughout this process through the contracts and selling himself off, I guess, in fractures. And so his mother is like really mourning the person he used to be and having a hard time reconciling the new person, and kind of like doesn't know what to believe or like how to reconcile with, which I can totally relate with. And so my heart goes out to her.
Absolutely. Thank you. And Zara, what did you pick up, your first thoughts and point of view?
Well, powerfully, she has connected, and immediately I felt sick. And also when I was listening to Jess, I'm starting to feel emotional. So I do feel she's very, very much connected in. She did show me a confined dark space. She also has said that she had her own attachment, which was colluding with his attachments. And so as much as she wanted to separate from him and pull away, her own attachments was pulled her straight back in to unify with his attachments. So she's right. She's saying she is working with a member of, well, she just said the team, to try and help with the investigation.
Okay.
So she is working spirit side to pull in what she can and put that in their path. There's a male, and she's showing me grey-haired male that is on the team who is working on the investigation. She is very much giving me an angst feeling, although on one side she is okay, but she is also feeling very intent on helping with this investigation. She's very invested. She's not separated from it. She is very much invested, trying to influence the direction in which it's being taken, so that it will help with the investigation. And she's suggesting that she is feeding her love energy to her mother and family and those that are closest to her and those that miss her the most. But she's very much, she's a powerful, I can feel she is a powerful being in spirit, definitely very powerful.
Oh, it's good, that she's she realizes that it's time now for all these lies and the deceit and all these aspects that they were able to get away with. It's good that this is now time to come out. And of course, it's time for some of the degrees that these individuals go through before they become famous stars, particularly like the Rainbow Room or taking part in unaliving unsuspecting youngsters. All of that is part of that cycle to make somebody famous, because you know what? You've got to pay the piper. So this is now going to start coming out. I'm so pleased that she was able to connect and talk about, you know, what she feels. The other aspect, I think, is when I went through, because the coroner initially was really peed off because the authorities would not allow the coroner's report to come out. Luckily, the coroner's report is now available online. Anybody can go and view it. So in psychic investigation fact, I went and had a look. So it is, I will say, anybody who's going to look up the coroner's report, it's very detailed, very detailed. If you get upset easily by these sort of things, do not read it. It is really in your face detailed. So we know then that when we had picked up that he was lying in wait for her, ready to pounce, he, as well as his attachment, so he has this demonic force that he's been talking to and, you know, going backwards and forwards with for a very long time. And the need was, this demonic force was asking for a particular type of innocent soul. And the innocent soul is the Celeste being, is her. She was the innocent soul that was taken. But he lay in wait for her with a sharp object. And as we know that when we're working on other cases, the stabbing action is a very personal one. And there were multiple stab entry points into her small torso. So that is very definitely either a crime of passion or a crime between two lovers or a crime because he was afraid. And I think in time we will see that the prosecution will understand that the motive was for him to remain famous and for him to retain all of the money that he was making. So if financial gain and fame, I think, could end up being the prosecution's assumption of this is the motive for him doing what he did. What do you both feel about that? Jess, I'll come back to you. I mean, what do you feel about that particularly?
When I was listening, I saw a succubus energy on the left side of his neck. I don't know where the stabbings were, but I feel that there was something definitely in the chest, but I also felt like something back here as well. It's almost like this succubus energy attached where he stabbed in his energetic field is what I was getting. There's like a sticky molasses energy I'm picking up. Good. That is kind of in his aura and around him. Maybe this is also his higher self or consciousness coming in and out with guilt, possibly. You know,
yeah,
you never know. Yeah. Kind of like an out of body experience. But I'm definitely feeling it was for financial gain and a feeling of I have to do this, like a dissociation, and that's where the succubus is like kind of attached, or maybe you would call this a djinn. I'm just getting used to this kind of reading this kind of stuff because of my own experiences that I just went through. So it's kind of it's an interesting. I like to go in blind, but I'm also seeing he's extremely worried about Neo giving information that only he knows. That's the biggest thing I'm picking up.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and I'm going to come. I'm going to come to Sara as well. But I do know I did an aura reading on Neo too, and the one thing that I said in that broadcast, which is on my channel, the energies around him, he was flipped. So anybody that knows about interrogation or getting the words out of somebody that's tight with the possible alleged person that did this, they managed to flip him. So I think that Neo will be assisting the prosecution office and the DA and doing everything he can, because I think he doesn't want to be implicated in any way. What do you think, Sara? I mean, we know that he laid in wait and the stab wounds were significant. There was one stab wound to her bottom lower area, so either ended up in the kidneys or the liver. What's your view on it?
Yeah, definitely agree. It's for personal gain, and then I also getting a big sense of frustration. It's a frustration, must control, the frustration of feeling like there's I'm frustration of having to do what he's doing and not having the control over being able to choose. It's being forced, but very, very frustrated. That's what I'm feeling from him, incredibly frustrated. And yes, I feel like he is waking in the night and in sweats. He is waking in sweats because he is what that.
Gosh.
That's what I'm getting. He's screwing. He's absolutely screwing because he feels like he's being stitched up, and there's a lot of he's distorted in his thinking, and he's going round in his head, and he's feeling really caged and a bit crackers. He's feeling
I
a
would
bit
imagine
crackers.
he would be, because I mean, there was that burn. The burn cage was discovered in his house, hadn't been used. It was still in a box. So who goes and orders a burn cage, for goodness sake? He's not a farmer. He's not going to get rid of coyotes and things that were taken and put into wherever on a farm like setting. And the size of the burn cage is key here. It's huge. You could easily fit a small person in there without a problem. So I know that the delivering justice is the key thing here. I'm sure you both picked that up, and I'm sure your card set will reflect that. I also wanted to look at, that I was seeing when I was tuning into this. I saw a weird thing. I saw a whole bunch of video recordings that are suddenly going to come to light. Yes, you've heard it first here. This is one of the secrets. Tesla vehicles always record from the dash cam. They never shut up. They're always recording. And this is going to come out, and it's going to show who was talking in the car, how many times was the car moved, reparked somewhere else, moved, parked down there, parked this way. This is all going to come out. The Tesla video footage on the dash cam is imperative. Yeah. What do you guys feel about that? I mean, do you also feel that it might be coming out, or have you got any other sort of secrets from information that might be popping up?
Yeah. So like in the next 2 weeks, specifically in the next 13 days, explicit details regarding her unaliving will come out and kind of put the nail in the coffin, so to speak. I'm also seeing a cemetery, and then I'm also seeing a switch in, I don't know, the movie that's playing in my mind is I'm seeing two men put her already unalived body in the trunk. So I don't know I don't know anything about this situation. I don't know if there was a ritual done at a cemetery, and then she was unalived there and then placed in the Tesla. But there is some type of implantation, so to speak, is what I'm getting. There was at least a day or two And then also I do remember, they're just reminding me the freezer situation, right? I don't know all the ins and outs, but there's something, maybe she went to the freezer first and then they implanted her, but there's two different cars as well. I'm also seeing a maroon car to begin with, and then I'm seeing a Tesla at the end.
It's the black Tesla. Yeah, the black Tesla, just to fill you in, I know neither of you know any information about this, and it's good that you're coming in blind. The Tesla has what they call a frunk. So there's a front of the vehicle. There is this base that lifts up the bonnet of the car, lifts it up, and that's where she was found. So yes, you are right. She was in the frunk of the car, the front trunk or boot of the car. That is what happened. Yes. So, and I do think I agree with you that there were other vehicles involved. And I think that the other vehicle particularly is the transport vehicle. And I got that vehicle was either crushed or moved or put in such a way that it will be difficult even for cadaver dogs to find a scent, because it's literally being destroyed. Because after the act had been committed, she was taken away to another area, which is, I got very sandy and like almost desert-like and very hot, very unusual sort of surroundings. And that was where he was able, with an accomplice, to take things apart. I won't say what it is. Do you know what I'm talking about? To take things apart from her specifically, and then put her back into bags, because her remains, when they were found, was that the upper torso and the head was found in another bag, and then other bits were found in other bags. So whatever they were doing, they were hoping that they would be able to conceal this, but they weren't. It was awful that it took so many months, and that nearly 3 or 4 months to find her. But that was due to the car being impounded, and the car itself was releasing a significant odor. And that's what alerted the individuals, the authorities, to that. But because they couldn't open it, they had to call the law enforcement to come and open it and be witnesses to whatever was found. Sara, what is your view about, moving remains and things like that? What did you get?
Well, when you first asked the question, I saw gloves, and I think that there are gloves, glove evidence. There have definitely found some gloves which have fibers and DNA.
Yeah.
There is blood evidence somewhere.
The red stuff. Yep, there's red stuff.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yep. Yeah, there's definitely claret, shall we call it, the red stuff. Somewhere, not on the gloves, but they have found that. There's also in his home, around his surroundings, so something that he can't detach from. So there's been things found in a garage. There's I can see an empty-ish modern garage with things that were left in error or in absent-mindedness, and they've definitely seized gloves, and there is some kind of tie, ties, like is it like that plasticky nylon rope type thing?
Yeah, okay.
I think something a bit like that I can see. Yeah,
I think that's a good point, because in order to be able to post-mortem, to be able to just take pieces off that particular individual, they would have had to have secured some other items in order to be able to effectively do what is necessary. So that they felt this was the only way that they could get away with this. And I do think, and you can both tell me whether you agree with me, I feel when I looked at him there's this energy on the side where there's somebody else, not the attachment, so not the demon that walks with him. It's another person in human form, as a person that was helping him, giving him ideas.
Yeah.
Once the attachment,
I see that.
Once the attachment moved away and he looked, he thought, oh my agony aunt, what have I done?
Yeah.
What did I just do?
Yeah.
It's a case of, oh, sherbet, I'm going to be in a whole world of trouble. This is just a mess right now. What the hell am I going to do? And that's when he started to call in favors from individuals. So I think he's going to find it a bit difficult, because I think Neo has been given immunity. I feel that very strongly.
I think I think Neo has a soft place for him, but he is definitely realizing that this is his his last meal ticket out kind of thing, like to do the right thing. And unfortunately, I do see that there's going to be some twist in the verdict where people are going to be quite outraged that he gets lesser charges. I'm only seeing like maybe 2 charges. It's kind of like P. Diddy, kind of like where you're like, what? How?
That was a fiasco. That was just such a
totally.
And then there's 3 people. There's 2 accomplices. One of them is going to go unnoticed or fly under the radar. The other 2 will be charged with David. I feel
aiding and abetting or assisting. What do you feel, Sara? Did you feel anything about that as well with regard to the charges?
Well, I see a lot of setbacks to the beginning of the trial. I see problems with the jury. I see a lot of objections to who they're bringing in for the jury. I see a young woman on the jury making eyes at him. I do. Yeah. What else is there? I definitely, when you said that there was he's got backup 100%. First of all, I saw his attachment black, filthy black, big as well, big, not just little, but quite a filthy black thing. And then without a shadow of a doubt, he's got backup. He's got someone assisting him. Actually, I also see someone who's away from him, that doesn't have any contact with him, but is pulling strings for him, definitely, and helping him without trace. Like, you can't, there's no direct link to him. They're not chatting, they're not talking, but there is someone moving the situation around for him, doing everything they can, because this is also, there's a risk of other stuff coming out in the trial that can impact other individuals that have conditioned him and brought him in to the fold and into his current state of mind. So I do see that.
That's interesting you mentioned that, because his management company that he was with, and he obviously has been since released from the management company, they manage a lot of new bands. They manage a lot of really sort of funky, strange bands. I mean, there's another band there that has a lot of satanic influence, uses 666 a lot. All of their songs has a 6 in front of it, or they're using it like an exclamation mark, 6, and then the name of the song. And it's a small band, and they're with them as well. And almost immediately, when there was these issues that started with him, so now it's exactly a year. The 23rd of April was 1 year from when all of this started. The management company let him go. So that tells me all of the aspects, all of the protection areas, all of the security that they put in place with David Burke, with D4VD, was not good enough. So I'm really hoping that the prosecution call his direct manager, maybe both of them, because there was a secondary manager as well, which is another secret. That definite manager was asking that David, the singer, to give him whereabouts of where he was, what he was doing at all times. So they were monitoring him, clocking him, making sure they knew where he was, what he was doing. So that worries me a bit, because why would a management company take a brand new star? I mean, he's only 20 years old, he's still a babe. Why would they take a 20-year-old star and start putting the mockers on him and start, making sure that they know where he is, trace his phone, make sure they can trace his car? Why would they do that? They also, I'm saying this categorically, another secret is going to be spoken. Take my word for it. The management company knew.
Yeah.
That
Yeah, I'm getting there very thick in it, up to their necks in it too.
You know how the date 23 Skull and Bones.
Mm-hmm.
You can always decode it back to the date as well.
Yeah,
they're going to put it in times, dates. Say,
exactly.
this was 33 miles from such and such. It's all coding,
Yep.
and I feel that David is talking the person that's kind of at a distance where you can't trace how they're talking back to one another, is through lyrics and music.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
And I think, the management company, I think they do need to put some sort of a warrant to appear within the court, because I don't think that the managers who managed him directly, they are not really going to want to be going to court and giving any evidence, because they will have to plead the fifth, because a lot of what they would be saying would actually incriminate them. They knew that he was having an affair with an underage individual. They definitely knew that.
I feel like I would go a little bit further and say they've almost set him in that path. I feel that they are responsible in a way for the path that he has taken. I feel like they are the work they're doing behind the scenes in order to protect David is in order to protect themselves because of that. I really feel that this is a management, like a very much management energy. It's a male energy who's sort of driving the decisions and the actions, and it's almost, I feel like it's a middle-aged, like a father aged kind of male that has set him in the path, and they need to protect that. They're stepping forward to protect and moving things around and pulling their strings, that to looking like they're protecting him, but really they're actually just covering their own backs because of the explosive nature of the possibilities that things could all come spewing out.
And I think a lot of it, I agree with both of you there. He on the outside appeared very stable and aurically, and I will do a show later about his aura, because it's revealed a lot of stuff about him. What I'm very worried about is that I've seen in the aura, there's loads of these little faces, and the faces are of lots of girls, and they look to be 11, 12, 13 years old. So definitely, not someone that should be in touch with, even just, vocally, as in a call or a text message with this person, because, it's not safe. And I do believe that because the management company was watching him so closely, they knew a lot about his trios on Fortnite. They knew a lot about, you know, going onto Discord and having these weird and wonderful conversations. They knew that this was, you know, just a matter of time before all this just gets slapped straight back in your face like a wet fish.
Yeah. That, I mean, that I keep getting this frustration thing. I feel like he knows he's been set up. He knows that he's been led to the slaughter, and now he's very, you know. So I think that there was a frustration at the time. It was almost like he was bursting with this, you know. He just couldn't contain himself anymore. And then now he's feeling like stitched up, and he's very paranoid, very suspicious. Everything is, you know, he just feels like he's just going to get, you know, really stitched up.
I agree.
So just to answer Rosebud at me, or Amy, yeah, it's super upsetting. And I think the biggest thing I think why we're doing this is because a lot of the truth is not set out there in the mainstream. And this is a huge problem in the pyramid, the structure, the hierarchy. These are just puppets. And it's really sad that these souls, these rappers, are chasing fame and money and really don't know what they're getting themselves into.
Yes.
And there's this very sadistic underbelly here, and the people at the top are the ones pulling the puppet strings, and and I feel like all these faces in his aura possibly also too are him taking the heat. He's the scapegoat. He's the lowest guy on the totem pole that they could, or totem pole bowl. I don't know why. Maybe a bowl is significant. I've been doing that like all week. Like
Freudian slips.
Yeah, like I will go to say one thing and then I know I'm channeling something else. So a bowl is significant there. But yeah, I mean, no surprise there with a rapper. But
could also be, you know, if you're talking about a ball, there is such a thing as an eye ball. So that may be why Spirit is tripping you up on that, because there is that one of the eyes has not been found. So
someone saved it. Someone saved it for sure.
Someone's got it. Yeah. There we go.
It's like a trophy or a prize.
Yes, it's trophy, definitely a trophy.
It's pickled in formaldehyde somewhere. That's what I'm getting.
Gross. Just to add to that for Rosebud, Amy, I think it is really helpful, especially in today's times with all this chaos and genocide and all the rest of it, all these problems that and crimes, death, all of that. As much as you are able to empathize, which is what you're experiencing now, and you're describing, how are you switching off, how are you doing that, because all you're feeling right now is that oh my God, it's hurtful, it's because you're empathizing. That's what you're doing, is you're more than likely have a high ability to empathize. Now empathic people are also able to switch off. They are also able to become that detached, dispassionate person in the same way, although with a psychopath they're not able to feel empathy, whereas an empath or empathic person is able to feel empathy, but it's also able to switch it off. So it's something that you can practice, and it's not that you don't care, it's just that and I mean, I worked in the court systems, and I had to learn how to do that, and you have to switch off. You have to do that, and it's very similar in this same situation. You are switching off your emotions, so so you are switching off your empathy, and that is how you're able to hear it, listen. And I mean, sometimes if you're connecting with spirit, your emotions overtake you, and you feel the emotions of that soul. But yeah, it's just that's basically how you do it. So anyone involved in crime, police officer. I mean, it's very, very difficult sometimes.
And
when
doctors
you're
too. You know, doctors too.
right,
Doctors are taught this.
right,
Doctors are taught this. Nurses are taught this.
yep.
Because after all, they are the clinician, and they are the ones that need to deal with very sick people. I mean, I worked in hospitals for way over 10 years in the NHS, and there would be things coming in all the time, and aspects that, you know, we had to make sure was dealt with correctly. But you could not take on what the parents or the person or the whoever it was that were the caregivers, you could not take on whatever it was that you saw in front of you. And that's key here. That is not our sole contract. Our sole contract for us in the work that we've chosen to do in service to humankind, we need to stay focused. We need to look and investigate. We need to understand what is happening, where it fits, and how it fits. And we need to stay logical. We need to open up to a degree, see what we're getting, come back into ourselves, and then cleanse, clear, close.
Yeah.
Close that energy body so that we can go back to being ourselves again. And this is what we're doing, is we're going through this in a psychic investigation, looking at what is spirit saying, what is the victim saying, what did happen on that day through remote viewing, having a look at what else was there, so that we can say, look, this is what we've done. We've tried our best. These are the bits of information we've got. And any secrets that we have, get them out there, get them live on air so that we can share it with everyone, so that when it comes up, we can all put pressure on. We can put pressure on the police department. We can put pressure on the district attorney's department and say, hang on a minute, have you looked at this? Have you looked at that? Because we, three of us, are picking up very similar vibrations and very similar frequencies about this awful case. And we all want justice for Celeste.
Yeah.
We all want.
I just felt 3 muscle spasms right here. Was she stabbed right here at all?
It didn't say anything about that. It was, I know there was one definitely in the chest. Then there was a couple of other minor ones, but then there was a really big ones that went right through to liver and I think it was liver and kidneys. It was a very, very big one there. But yeah, it could also be some of the activity post-mortem. But if we remember, the remains will tell the story. What is happening post-mortem is post-mortem. But generally what is saved within the husk, this is our husk, the body, that's the husk. What is within the husk will tell the whole story. And I'm sure that when it gets to trial, when the man that wrote the report, the coroner himself, I think that he is definitely going to have a lot to say on the stand for sure.
Yeah, I just got it. So normally when I went to, so I'll give a little hack here too. So normally when I was in nursing school, I was that complaining nursing student that was such an aggravation, because every day I didn't realize every time I was connecting with my patients and touching them, because my hands are like antennas, I was taking on their pains and ailments. So every day I had a whole new slew of things. I was like, oh, I think I have sciatica today. And everyone was just like rolling their eyes. But I was actually feeling their pain. And I was like, and when I go home, it was like, poof. And I was like, what is the deal, man? And so once I started learning about, oh, you're a natural medical medium, I would go into my mind and turn down empathy. And you can even ask your guides, hey, show me like a mouse click, like point to the area of the body, or say it in my ear, give me a lightning bolt. You can turn down those knobs, turn down the volume. And like, I was so annoyed. I told my guys, I was like, I don't want to hear anything in my inner ear, please. I got enough going on in the hospital, like people telling me what to do.
Yeah.
I was like, I need silence. And so they would come up and give me subtitles, like almost on TV. And then I couldn't read it fast enough. And I was like, all right, touche. But you can totally, You can
Sure.
totally ask or request. And
Yeah.
if you're like me, I don't like spirit coming to me at night when I'm trying to wind down. So
Yeah.
I just designate in the early morning from like, you know, when I'm already, my nervous system is calm and I've had a good night's rest. I say, oh, you can come in like an hour before I'm about waking, where I'm like in this peaceful, like just waking for the day kind of sleep. So yeah, you get to be in control in the driver's seat.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. I just noticed Rosebud says that she's a retired social worker, so she very much used that in her role. So yeah, you know all about it. And also, I think with the whole thing, you find people do use black humor as well. That's something that people use. We used it quite a bit in the court service, and of course anybody might hear something. And I remember my friend's brother is a funeral director, and I said, how long you been there? He said, oh, I've been there ages. I said, oh, how'd you get on? I said, how do you cope with it all? Because that's something I probably wouldn't be able to do. But I said, I bet you use a lot of black humor. He said, yeah, we do. So yeah, it's just coping mechanisms, isn't it? And so yeah, it's switch it off.
You have to switch it off, and you know, and you know what? Sometimes what I do, which is quite common amongst people like myself and yourselves, where we're working on cases all the time. You know, if something gets to me, like one of the cases I've worked on in the last couple of weeks is the case of a little Japanese boy who he's 11 and disappeared on his way to school. He never pitched up at school. And it was one of those where I thought, because he's, you know, I was just remembering my grandson. I mean, he's not 11 anymore. He's 19. He's a young man. But it did hit a nerve. And I just had to stop and think, no, I've got to help with finding the remains of this little boy. And I thought, no, I can't allow myself to get upset, because he has, you know, this short black hair. He's this pretty little boy. He looked a lot like my grandson. I just thought,
that's
no,
the hardest,
it's
isn't it?
horrible.
When
and
it's one of your own and the ages or the similarities, that is the hardest time.
Very hard. So I had to schedule time. I said to myself, listen, take this energy now, put it on the side, and schedule it for after bedtime or at bedtime or during shower time or whatever. Schedule it for then to be sad, because the young lad looked a lot like my young grandson. And you have to do that if you're in this field in service to humankind. You just have to. So now getting on to, and thank you for the questions and for the comments as well. Thank you all very much. It is a difficult discussion today, but I think it does need to come out, because we need to allow people to start understanding the making of a monster. And there's no doubt about it. This is a monstrous act. But when you layer over it a demonic possession and a demonic aspect, which is fueled by taking substances, either, you know, alcohol or other white powders or others,
100%.
makes it far worse. But it doesn't.
I see the pink. I see the pink. The pink stuff. Yeah, definitely a concoction.
I think there's been a concoction.
Yeah.
Now, I want to ask both of your opinions with this, because I think that those that are defending David Burke are going to try to come up with, you know, special circumstances or extenuating circumstances, and they're going to try their very best to come forward with some sort of, you know, get out of jail quick card. You know, that's what they're going to try and do. But I think that when I was looking at him specifically, he doesn't really have many choices. I think that he is, if they have got a lot of evidence, which I do believe Department of Justice and the LA police, I believe they have tape recordings. I think they've got digital evidence. They have text messages. They have all sorts of sets of information. They're just waiting for the Tesler video footage from the dash cam and other bits of information as well. I think that he is looking at a maximum of life in prison without the opportunity of parole.
Yeah, I mean that match is. I'm not so familiar on American law, but that totally matches because of the circumstances in which he has been found. That is, it's very extreme. I have a feeling they have found some. I feel like they have found some cult items, but I'm not 100% sure whether that will feed into the trial. But there's definitely some ritualistic paraphernalia that they have discovered. I can see an altar for him. So I do see that he has got so yeah, there's definitely some ritualistic things, but this is where actually I'm feeling that the management company are trying to protect, because I think they have introduced that they're very much involved. There's a network there that they are that's where they're trying to get things out, and there'll be an absolute bun fight in the courtroom to make certain items inadmissible.
Yeah, I think it's true. I was very interested when I went onto the document. There is a document that states these 4 or 5 charges, and what I thought was quite incredible is that they've put it up as murder charge, but they didn't say anything more about that. Now, sometimes they'll put something like culpable homicide, or they will come up with all sort of other flaky terms. But this one looks to me, when I read the document, I had to go back and read it again. I thought, hang on a minute, wait a drop. This says first degree murder, which means that it was plotted, it was planned, and he had time to decide. If that is found to be correct, and if he is eventually found guilty based on what the prosecution has as evidence, then I track that back to the DOJ, Department of Justice, and that says the maximum is life imprisonment without any opportunity of parole. The other thing I must say, which I think Spirit is trying very, very hard to get, and that is they're hoping to get the unalive penalty. It begins with a D and ends with TH. They're trying to push for that penalty because they want to. The public are up in arms about this particular event, and also the circumstances around it are heinous, a heinous crime. So that is not on the table at the moment. But part of the secret there is Spirit is saying we're pushing for the unalived sentence, that a life for a life, as it says in the Bible. So that's coming up as well. I don't know whether that will come out. It might, but at the moment, the only charge on the table, possibly if he's found guilty, because obviously now he's still assumed to be innocent until found guilty, right? Until when they choose the various, the jurors. But that's not on the case. It's not on the docket. It hasn't been given. I think it's got a docket, but I think there's a lot pushing for an immediate indictment. So we've got a lot of moving parts here with this case, guys. There's a lot happening, and it's happening literally day by day. Sunday will be restful, but I think they're going to push to try and get this case heard as quickly as possible. What did you both get? Jess, what do your cards say? What did you pull? And then Sara, I'll come to you.
So the bowl, and it can have, I normally get like layers, double entendres and double meaning with my symbolism. But whenever I said bowl, I instantly saw like a chalice. And then I don't know if this is used in sacrificial rituals, drinking out of the victim's blood out of a certain container or chalice. Is it called a chalice? Something like that. I just heard chalice. And it's like gold or brass looking with like engravings on it is what I'm getting. That is going to be evidence something that will come out. I also got secret recordings of secret meetings. There's a mole in there, or like an informant that they didn't know was an informant. And as you know, informants can't, when they
can't testify.
When they're called into the courtroom, they can't they have to give over the information, and they will have to testify against the person on trial, is what I'm getting. And so that's kind of going to throw a wrench, because I don't think David knew that this particular person was an informant. So he's going to start to quickly realize that everyone's put him in they've all turned on him, right? And then there's also this white guy that's like high up in the hierarchy. I don't know why I'm seeing him in a gray suit, and he's got kind of like a muffin top or pot belly. Maybe that's cinnamon rolls. I don't know. Symbolism.
Yeah, it could be.
But he feels like this man, he can go to him for some type of mentoring or getting around obstacles. This person also, it's almost like he's the sacrificial lamb now too. But the interesting part that I'm getting is that I'm seeing that they're going to try and get people to be outraged and want the death penalty. But I'm seeing it's kind of going to turn out, I don't know why, but I'm seeing a possible timeline is that he gets away from a missed opportunity. Something is like deemed, one of the pieces of evidence or proof is like going to be deemed inadmissible for some reason after the fact, after it's presented. I don't know why that's coming through. That's going to throw a wrench in some type of system.
That's possible, because I think we won't be heading into discovery soon. I think it might be next week. There'll be boxes and boxes and boxes of evidence and discovery, and that is definitely going to cause all sorts of upset, because when the evidence by law, it has to be shared with all of his defense team. And I kept seeing this like wheelie thing that you put boxes and boxes. So there's going to be boxes and boxes of banker boxes and information all stacked on this wheelie thing. And I see them wheeling through an elevator or a lift into a building that is another set of elevators and lifts, and then getting onto a floor where they go into reception, and they have to then take all these boxes and take them down to whatever, the war room is going to be, because they're going to have a war room just by the sheer weight of evidence. So if anybody ever thought that there wasn't going to be loads of evidence, nope. There are loads.
I see a lot.
Yeah,
I see a lot. Yeah,
because there's an informant. There's an informant in there.
Yeah.
They always have one.
Yeah.
Just in case it goes left.
Yes. And also all the information from like the management company where they were monitoring him, they were monitoring his texts, monitoring his whereabouts, where he was, where did he go, who he was speaking to, what he did. All of that pertinent information is going to form part of the evidence. So that'll come out in disclosure for sure. But I think that a lot of this at the moment, this life without possibility of parole, that's the only aspect that, depending on how strong the evidence is, that is the only aspect that will come up for him. So he might be able to have some sort of plea bargain with the prosecutors if he decides to, change his plea. Because even more amazingly, shockingly, this awful person has now pleaded not guilty. What the hell? Really?
Yeah, I also saw something with August and the number 8. It's like also going to line up with August. We'll find, because he's trying to gun for, no pun intended, he's trying to gun for abundance in this sacrifice and whatever this was. But there's something coming in August, I feel, as well, that's very significant. You'll be able to decode more in the headlines, but there's something significant. 8 keeps popping out at me as well.
I see Wench 83 says, do you think evidence will be lost? I do see evidence being set aside because of they'll be wanting to keep the more of the ritualistic side out because of they don't want it to be too fantastical. They might I think I'm feeling that they'll just interesting. Did you say about the cards? Because interestingly I have actually got the Four of Cups and lack of risk, and I do feel that that's feeding into the prosecution will be looking very carefully at what they put in and how they present that, because I think they don't really want to enter into the satanic panic style and get too fantastical on it. So I think they might just sidestep some of the more ritualistic stuff. Shall I go on with my cards?
Yeah, go on with your cards. Let's see what you picked up, and then we'll
yes.
move on. Jess has got. What else did you get?
Yeah, so that's the Four of Cups, and that's what I'm getting from that. I've also had two of the fives, two of the more negative fives, battles, competition, and that's where I think I saw that there'll be a lot of legal argument on what's admissible, what's not admissible, and I think that all feeds into that. There'll be a lot of stop-starting at the beginning of the trial, which obviously they won't be, it won't, you know, that you won't know, oh, the trial started. It will just be legal arguments are happening. And I do see a lot of legal argument going in about what's admissible, what's not admissible, tension, conflict. And that I actually in the courtroom, it's going to, I can see like the prosecutor, everything's like, there's a lot of frustration in that courtroom. There's a lot of, and the teams, although they know each other and respect each other, they're actually, I can see them actually getting really quite cross. I can feel like actually there's also these attachments are coming out in the individuals. It's like the dark side is coming into that courtroom and really stirring up chaos. So I do see a lot of, so that's the Five of Wands and also the Five of Swords. Again, this aggression, that's, you know, the aggression and the battles and the hostility between the parties, between the teams, you know, that are professional, but there's still going to be some hostility between those teams. But there is a two of wands at the on the end of it. So it does look like the first steps of justice, I think, is going to take place. I think, yeah, there is a balance there. There is, you know, things are sorted for the right path.
Good.
In the end. So yeah, it's all gonna go ahead in the path of justice.
What are the numbers? It's 552, and there's another one. What was the number on that?
So the first one was a 4, and then 2 5s and a 2. Yeah.
So what does that add up to? That's 10,
7, 10, 14, 16.
So that's a
7.
So that's a 7. Yeah, equality, duality. So that could also mean 7th month, 7th day. So it could be by the 7th of May next month. If we add all your numbers together, that means 7th of May next month is something very keen, very specific that's going to come out. So let's mentally make a note of the 7th of May. Some of the ones that I got when I was doing it earlier, I added all mine up. It came to a 28. So that's going to be Tuesday next week. There is some sort of major review or some major release that comes out, because I think that recently we've seen there's been a lot of toing and froing in the background and, you know, whispering in the ears, where a lot of the digital evidence to Department of Justice and the prosecution, they have found a lot of images that, based on the scale, because we all know there's a scale of images of young people, CY children and young people, there's a scale, and the scale that of images that he personally has on a lot of his devices is significant. So this tells us that even though he's such a young man, he has this unusual proclivity, and he prefers to be accompanied by younger people, younger children. He likes to have young children around him, and he feels superior and he feels above everyone else. But unfortunately, these images that have been uncovered are not the types of images that a young man of 20 should actually have been looking at, or even deciding that this is something that he enjoys looking at. So that's something that's going to be coming out next week. Jess, what cards did you pull? I mean, I asked you both to pull 4 cards. What did your 4 cards say?
Oh, I got like all of them, all of the cards. But okay, so I just got a new download. I heard the names Wilbur and O'Brien, and it's connected to our school. There's a teacher involved that was given money for something. I don't know. These could be random clues and names that are connected to the case, or they could be actually connected to the school. I don't know. I just say what I hear, see, feel, taste, that kind of thing. So they're going to try, the prosecution is trying really hard to get this information to come out. The other side is trying to bury it, is what I'm picking up. I also feel like because this summer is full disclosure, that you will see a cataclysm of 2 different timelines.
Yeah.
So maybe Miss Bev's seen one, because I would trust Miss Bev. She's used to working these trials. I'm seeing maybe that's the timeline Miss Bev is tapping into. And for some reason, it's like I'm picking up that August, it's like there's going to be a lot of twists and turns with new surprises, new informants, new evidence. And then in August, the final gavel, there is some type of justice, but what he is, the sentencing, most people are going to be like, huh? Like there's some element of surprise that I'm picking up on. And then also were there stabbings in the heart? Because I'm feeling like that.
It was close to.
Those are going to be the wounds. The angles when they're dissected, and like the forensics comes in and it explains like the angle, it will be proved as premeditated is what I'm getting, just how deep and how fast, or the angle, something, all those logistics. And this was the last card, the outcome, the moon in reverse. So all hidden secrets are revealed. And that's the biggest thing, is that this is going to be a case in history where most of the hidden occult things are coming to the surface. That's what they really want to hide, because then it'll give clues to everybody else that are kind of don't know it, that they're implicated, if that makes sense.
Well, there's going to be, I agree with you, I even got the judgment card too. And this one here for me, this was this one. And it said judgment is close to the heart and truth, but it has separated us from love. So that tells me that the David entity person with this demon that he has with him was separated from the capability or ability to be able to love because of who he is and what he was. And it says here, release the shackles, drop their expectations, and be grateful for what it is and where you are. So that was this one here, which says that, he's going to have to grow from this. But it is actually in his soul contract, because when I was looking through his energy, because obviously with the Akashic Records, you can't go up to the Akashic Records without the permission of the person that you're looking for. So obviously I've had no direct connection with David Burke, but so I couldn't go and look at that. What I could do is I could ask for the energies around his aura. What is there within the aura? What is the soul contract that this young lad has signed? He's only 20. He's only starting his life, and yet this is what is potentially, allegedly, has happened. So what was coming back through this pipeline from Spirit was he has a soul agreement where these are his trials and tribulations. This is what he has to go through in order to grow, which is a sad situation. And then they did the same for the victim Celeste. I looked at that, and what it was a very special child, but she was only meant to be walking in 3D on this earth for a short period of time. And she had said, I will do X amount of years, 14 years. That's all I'm going to do here. And then I want out. I don't want to be walking on this earth anymore. So that's very hard to accept. But, you know, she has done the lessons she needed to do, and she was able then to leave. The other aspect, which was very odd, was there was a little soul that kept coming in from Spirit, and that told me that there was a child somewhere. So whether the David Burke has a child, or whether the victim was carrying a child, or had been carrying a child and then was no longer carrying a child at some point, the coroner will be able to answer those questions. We will know all of that at trial. But I think that because that keeps coming in, I think that's part of it. So the physical evidence, you know, Celeste, her own body will talk through. With the help of the coroner, will be able to get all the truth out. And I don't think the general public will know all the inside details of everything. There's the report online, but everything else that comes out is going to come out as well, but only in the trial situation.
Because just as you were speaking that, I heard sacrifice.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that small a child, there was a sacrifice, a part of the element of it.
Well, this is not common, you know. I think that Spirit has been quite defined about this, and that is that, you know, he had already made his agreements. He had gone through the rainbow room, come out the other side, and he was ready to pay the piper, so to speak. And people, that's what's going to happen with this young man. He is going to pay the piper. And, you know, unless he can really fight the charges, and there's quite a few of them. I mean, the one that I know for a fact he won't be able to, if they do find smoking gun, I will say no smoking gun has been found yet. So in other words, a smoking gun would be irrefutable evidence. So a piece of evidence that says, yep, this is him, he did this, would have to be the smoking gun. So that could be like a text between him and Celeste saying, well, you're not going to out us and our relationship. Don't go doing this because it's dangerous, because, you know, there was a whole bunch of arguments happening before he asked her to come to the mansion. Let's bear in mind, that mansion was a rented mansion. That mansion has now been taken over by the owner. The owner's cleansed it, cleared it, moved stuff, changed it, did whatever he needed to do. So a lot of that evidence trail is long gone because he's taken his property back. Same with the Tesler too. So all of that then becomes very difficult to prove. Plus, when someone's remains are as old as the ones that they were over 4 or 5 months old when it came to light, a lot of that evidence had been degraded. And I think that everyone was hoping that it would be so far gone that there would be insufficient evidence found to be able to gain a conviction. So that's part of it. But the one, I think there's one here in those charges that I find very interesting, and that was the mutilating remains of a human entity. And if there is some form of smoking gun or evidence, that's the one charge that is going to be very difficult. If they can place David at the scene, of, you know, removing key parts of the individual and then putting them in bags and putting them back in the front of the Tesler, if they can place him there, then at least 1 or 2 of the key charges will stick, i.e. the other one would be is unaliving a witness to an investigation. I would like to know, did the victim go to the police? Did the victim come out and say, this is what's happening to me? Or are the Discord, because a lot of Discord was wiped, it was all deleted, but we know from experience that Discord keeps a huge backlog, and we've understood that there was this toing and froing in a couple of the Discord channels where they were talking between themselves, but with everybody watching on Discord. So that's going to come out too.
So I don't even know why I didn't even think about this, but I just felt Celeste come through, and I heard her say, I don't know how I didn't know he was fruity. I just heard her come in and say that. And something about her mother is something with betrayal. So I don't know if her mom was an absent mother or a mother figure or someone close to her mother. Her mother's feeling betrayed by someone close to her. I'm not really, but I also heard her say that there's going to be hair collected. That's going to be some main evidence with red stuff in the hair.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's also kind of tied to what was also saved in the ritualistic behaviors as well, is what I'm picking up. And I do think there's something connected to teacher, maybe friends at school, something with school for sure. And remember that name, Wilbur and O'Brien. I don't know where that ties in.
Yeah.
But that's how I get stuff. Yeah.
I also wanted to ask both of you, I kept on feeling when I was looking at his aura and doing the picture, and I'm going to be doing a lot more with that picture later and then share my findings. But there is a particular color, that intent and that anger and the intent to cause bodily harm or grievous bodily harm is a specific energy. And I just wondered, around the David Burke person, did you pick up any energy where he was angry and the intention was to make all this go away, however necessary, to make it go away? Did you also pick up any of that? Because I certainly did.
Yeah, I think he justified it with like tunnel vision on his career. That's what I'm getting. There was this delusional, almost like godlike complex brainwashing that was like, or this could be the entity talking through him that justified, oh, this has to be done to get to this. Yeah.
Yeah. And what did you feel that, Sara, as well? What was your view on that?
Do you know what? All I got was a flash of very sort of deep reddy pink. So like a deep reddy pink. It was almost like a passionate color. There's something that he feels very passionate about. He feels very intent and one track minded about.
I also do think that Celeste was pregnant with a boy. Very early stages, though.
Well, let's hope that the coroner, knew something about that. But I don't know whether at the time, if she did become pregnant, I don't know whether she kept it or whether she was even expecting at the time of her unalivement. By that time, it's possible that that little one would have already been sent back to spirit. But we're hoping that the coroner's report will have a lot more detailed information. I did also get the ugly act of the slaughter, but then I got here is that there is a sacred shift and that justice will be done in the end. And that is because the world's energies of all people are saying, we had the whole Diddy debacle. We had the O.J. Simpson debacle. We had all these so-called famous people doing these terrible things to folks. That's just a whole mess happening, and that's got to stop. And I think that people will start by, standing up and saying, There's no more hiding now. We deserve to know the truth. We deserve to know what's going on in these very famous people. What on earth are they doing? You know, we all know. We know.
Yeah.
Nobody can sell their soul. That doesn't exist. You can't sell your soul. It's not possible. But what you can do is you can agree with the demon that's been assigned to you to do whatever the demon wants you to do.
And
in order
partake
to be
in
famous.
actions. And partake in actions that will lead you down a path of just like Acorn movies.
Yes.
That has it's a frequency where it is embedded and encoded, just like solfeggio frequencies that lift your vibration and, you know, give you peace and harmony. There are the equal and opposite frequencies that they embed in Acorn movies, where you're never satisfied and get hooked on. It's
doing it yourself.
Yes, and
that's
it's
possible.
a dark, sinister road, and this is why free will is so important. It's almost like I view it as you can kind of walk away and upload your own programming. It's kind of like Dolores in Westworld, if you've ever watched that HBO series. Like, it's not that you're selling your soul, because that's it's impossible, but you hook into a program where you are allowing mindless activity. That's what you're kind of giving up the free will and not taking accountability and things like that. And so that's why I just think it's so important that staying unpredictable in your own world, and like each and every day keeping your mind agile and picking something that kind of makes you grow outside of your box artistically, where you slow down and you're not on the rat race worried about money. They want you too distracted to where you're not open to your own insight and connected to source. And like, you are the magnetism, you are the abundance. And that's why we have a QSIP number and a social security with a value on our heads, right? And so it's waking up to that. And it's when we give our energy to these celebrities, I just find, it's just, these celebrities are making idiotic decisions for sure. It's very well.
And in closing, part of the secrets that we've revealed a couple of really key aspects. So we know that those will be going forward. And we know that next week, the 28th is key. And then we've also got another key date, which is the one that Sara came up with in May. We think that those are the two dates for something. It's definitely going to be happening. We also know that the energies around David, the D4VD singer, will become more and more distorted and unreliable. It is possible that there might be enough evidence with him that he could potentially, if there is a lot of evidence proving that he is the perpetrator, it is possible that the defense might go for diminished responsibility. So, or something similar. Depends on how much evidence the state can come up with.
Yeah, when you were talking earlier about the I can't actually remember what you were saying, but that was coming straight in. Diminished responsibility. I think I do believe that they're going to angle for that, and that will help them hide the ritual stuff.
Yeah, well, we know they're going to try to hide that, but I think that they're going to push for the fact that, his belief system around money and belief system around, that he was this great, fantastic artist and could do no wrong, and that he was holier than thou and could do whatever he wanted. Remember, he will also hide behind his own Christianity, because what he did do is a couple of his girlfriends before, I got that he was acting in a savior capacity, saying, become a Christian, come with me, come to church, come and let me show you what being a Christian is like. But the two don't match. If you look at his Christian side and you look at the other side, the two sides, you look at his merchandise that has got spattered, red stuff spattered all over it with handprints on it. If you watch some of his videos, they're very disturbing. And there is a level of feeling that comes out of the screen where he kind of feels, well, what would it be like to do this in real life? Because a lot of his videos have got very, very violent. The last 2 or 3 of them have been very violent. And when his song dropped, it was literally, he was smiling and smirking and absolutely fine. And that shows you someone who's completely disengaged with their own energy. If he did commit this, then there is an issue here with that demon, because that demon is the one who was able to get into him, take control, and get through and do all these atrocities. So we're going to have to watch, how does he progress? And when it gets too hot to handle with the evidence, is his defense team going to go for, we've got a problem with him, he's doing this, he's doing that, and make him not responsible for his own actions? It's going to be a case, I think, that is going to take the media by storm. We're looking at a similar level of O.J. Simpson, and we're looking similar to the Diddy case. There's going to be a lot of psychological profiling. Clinical psychologists are going to be involved, and there's going to be a lot of forensic details and investigations. This doesn't stop with just it going to court. It's going to be a huge build-up beforehand. So I'm going to ask for both of you a bit of a summary in what you've picked up and what you feel, so that we can give that as the final for today. But I will tell the audience we're going to be coming back, and next week we'll come back with the next episode of where we think things are going in the D4VD case, where spirit speaks secrets to both of the mediums. And I thank you both for being on the show today. Jess, what is your final closing statement?
I think we're going to get a lot of full disclosure in how these dark sacrifices work, and it's going to keep everybody, I would say it's going to make everybody less invested energetically, because this is what this is on a stage. Really, the judicial system is just a stage, and it's harvesting our energy in itself. And so I think it's going to be very pivotal in what it discloses, the secret hidden knowledge that helps people to understand what to stay away from, and how to recognize, traps in their own lives, and just how kind of dark and sinister a lot of the institutional stuff is in our everyday neighborhood can be, how the network works. So I think that will be the biggest takeaway, but I do think Celeste will have justice in the end in some regard.
Oh, that's good. And Sara, what's your last final closing statement, please?
Yeah, I do see justice coming for her, and I do think I wholly agree with Jess that this is one of it is pivotal. And these types of crimes have been committed in the past, but I think that the spotlight on the fact that he is an artist, he is in the public eye, it really is opening up and pulling in the culture and this ritualistic side to what we're hearing is a common thing in the industry. But one just thing I'd like to say is, thank you everybody for coming and watching last notice, and we are all putting out our content, obviously Beverly Rose Official, J Gilly Co, and SRG Soul Guidance. We're all putting out content, so please do subscribe and you'll get the notifications of our content when they come up. And really looking forward to seeing everybody next week.
Oh, good. Yeah. And you're both on a very good friend of mine. You're both on their channel, on the two directors, which is obviously Holly and Roxy, and they have Forever Free TV, which is hosted on Roku. And I know that you both have your own programs on there, and mindfulness and how to deal with leaving a partner or loss of a partner. That's yours, Sara. And Jess is talking about how to deal with getting out of a significant narcissistic relationship. So you're both on the wellness channel on Free TV. So go and catch everyone there. And don't forget, get yourself bookmarked, because we're going to be coming back with more points of view on this show. Enjoy, everyone, and have a great weekend. Thanks for being here. Bye for now.